New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is my great joy to be here today. We've got another wonderful guest that you'll meet in just a little bit. And for those of you that are coming back and have been regulars, I'm so glad you are. And for those of you that are new, welcome. I know that you're going to find some inspiration through the conversation that I'm about to have. Each episode, we have conversations with soul-centered individuals that are channeling their time, their talent, energy, resources, their consciousness into doing good work in the world. And so that's the common theme with all of the conversations that we have. And I invite you to check out our archives and see some of the amazing people and what they're up to in the world. I find it extremely interesting to know what people are doing. And here's some of the good news, because we can be so inundated with the darker news or the things that aren't going well in the world. So here at Growing Edge Live, we shed a light on all the good things that are going on in the world. And today, my guest is Eamon Duffy, and he is the spiritual director of the New Thought men's community. Eamon is here to support wholeness through heart and soul healing work. He found a deep spiritual connection in his early 20s through the Mile High Church, and I believe that's in Denver or on the outskirts of Denver, Colorado. It's a non-denominational spiritual community, and also discovered men's soul work. So we'll hear more about that in a minute. Together over the last 30 years, these teachings have had a profound and foundational healing effect in his life. He is now a licensed New Thought minister and has led hundreds of men's groups, from individual small groups to major retreats, gatherings, and summits. This service is his passion and joy, to give back to the men in his spiritual community. Eamon, welcome.
Hey, Allie, good to see you. Great to be here with you today.
Yeah, it's awesome. We've got the awakened masculine, the awakened feminine, and we'll get a chance to talk about what's going on in the world of men's work. And I noticed I'm on a list for the affiliated New Thought Network, and I noticed that you have an event coming up with Reverend Dr. Michelle Whittington about men and women. And so I signed up for that. I'm excited to know more about that. So maybe we can circle back and talk about that a little bit later on in our conversation. So where are you?
I'm here in Colorado enjoying the fresh snowfall that we got over the weekend, and I'm up in the mountains, so I get a little bit more snow, about 8,000 feet. So it's a beautiful sunny day, as often happens in Colorado. Lots of snow and then sunshine the next day. So
a bluebird day.
Yes, very, very blue. Very blue skies.
Yeah, I'm in Utah, and we are sunny, kind of cool, but no snow. So I'm glad we don't have it yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
Yes, yes, indeed.
So
season.
It is. So let's get to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
You're there in Colorado. Have you always lived in Colorado?
I have, yeah. I actually grew up here, and I I pretty much still live in the county that I grew up in, Golden, and or Jefferson County. And yeah, Colorado is just always been one of those things that just represents home to me. The mountains, for some reason, just really draw me, and I love them. And I think a lot of it has to do with nature and just wanting to be out in nature. I feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to live in the mountains and with trees and nature all around me. Saw a bear, was up here just a couple weeks ago, getting ready to hibernate, and we get deer and elk and all kinds of beautiful animals coming through. So it's a very peaceful, pretty tranquil place where I live. So I feel very blessed with that. But yeah,
That
absolutely.
sounds beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm wondering, my sister lives in Lake Tahoe, and she just told me that a bear, she unfortunately did not lock her car door, and a bear came through the neighborhood and ripped into her car, ripped out the center console and her son's car. And so I've lived in the mountains, I've lived in bear country, and I've never experienced bears like being so aggressive like that. But in Tahoe, it seems to be the normal. How about you? Did bears like interfere with your home, your house, your car?
No, I had some recycle outside, which I clean very well just because of that, because of the bears. But yeah, I think it's hard. You know, wildlife, it's just hard not to fall in love with them. And I think some people feed them, they get more accustomed to human beings and cars and and they know where to find the stuff. So they're like, I bet they've got a candy bar in that console somewhere.
Exactly.
just jump in.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, anyway, so let's hear a little bit about your origin story. You're obviously, being a New Thought minister, you've dedicated your life to that deeper connection with the universe, with God. Were you a religious kid? Was your family spiritual? How were your early days?
Yeah. Well, growing up, I was brought up Catholic, so that was something that my parents were indoctrinated into. They were of that generation. They went to Catholic schools, even colleges. They were a part of the Catholic community, and that's how they met, in fact. So they were very steeped in that, which so us kids were brought up in that. My mom was and is still very very religious in that way. But for me, I guess it didn't work. No offense to Catholics, but it didn't work for me personally. I'm more of a seeker. I realized I was more of a seeker. Like, I was looking for the deeper nature. So when I left my parents' house, I had this profound spiritual awakening experience. And that basically woke me up to my own inner light. And then I started going to an ashram.
Wait a second. That's like a big deal.
Yes,
I know,
it is.
because I had I've had several deep spiritual experiences starting at age 5. So I know the significance of having an event like that occur that can really alter or get you on track with your soul's purpose. So what was this spiritual experience? Can you break it down for us a little bit, or is
I can a little bit. I will a little bit, but I tend not to share it too much, just because it's that sacred thing for me, on some level. And I think we need to protect those experiences. Too often, I've brought that to a circle, and people are like, "Oh yeah, I had that happen too." We tend to want to connect our experience with other people's experience rather than just honoring what other people's experiences are. So I kind of stopped sharing that a long time ago, but it was quite. I'll go into it a little bit here, but it was quite the interesting experience. So the ashram was a Babaji ashram that I got associated with, and a friend of a friend was very steeped in this ashram, and there's one in Crestone, Colorado. It's a very spiritual place, a lot of different religions and spiritualities, spiritual stuff going on there. But what happened was we were sitting discussing this rebirth kind of experience that this gal was trained in. And I kind of went into a spontaneous transformation. Like all of a sudden my energy shot way up. I just felt emotional and grounded at the same time. It was very confusing. And I went and I stepped outside. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. And she's like, oh, okay, I can help with this. And so she helped me just kind of breathe through the experience. And it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. It was like just my energy filled the whole room. It was so powerful and palpable. And my friend was just sitting in the corner going, bug-eyed, going, what is happening here? For me, I felt like I touched my soul that day. Like I really touched that deeper part of myself that I think has that we all have that longing for. On some level, we all have that longing to understand our true nature. And so it really was a boon, a real blessing to be able to experience that and then go, okay, I want to check out this ashram thing. And so spent many years at the ashram after that, on and off. It was really beautiful experience. Did a lot of drumming, did a lot of meditation, did a lot of internal stuff. And then started also looking for different, other things. Like there's a Buddhist monastery that's just up the road from the ashram in Crestone. And so visited that often. Did a lot of Native American traditional stuff, sun dances and vision fasts and sweat lodges and things like that. And so I was really a seeker. Like I was really seeking, like, what is, and I think the driving factor is what am I here for? Like the ancient Stoic philosophers from Greece who brought in the questions, who are you and what are you here for? These simple but foundational questions, I think, that we all want to ask ourselves, that we all want an answer to, like, what is my soul longing? And so after many years of doing a lot of seeking, and also found Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado, and got dragged to that because, of course, my friend was like, I was in a poetry group with this gal, and she was like, oh, you got to come to my church. I'm like, yeah, church, no, thank you. And eventually she talked me into it, and it just was very much a feeling of coming home and a feeling of belonging. And then finding more out about the philosophy. Oh, it's a very mystical philosophy. It's a very metaphysical philosophy. It's and then Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind and Spirit philosophy, that his kind of take on the New Thought philosophy was, I think he was just incredible and really drew me in with a lot of just kind of his perspectives on being open at the top, change your thinking, change your life. Some of these typical quotes that we have from Ernest Holmes, which are wonderful, and learning and understanding more about the philosophy, and then also finding men's work in there too. So I was just doing a ton of like, who am I? What works for me? Coming from Catholicism and knowing that really didn't work for me and wasn't going to work for me. And then finding New Thought where I could bring everything into that and say, yeah, I think one of Ernest's other things was, what is the golden thread of truth through all paths, through all religions, through all these, these spiritual experiences. And I love that because it allowed me to bring all of the stuff of men's work and the ritual and shadow work and that depthful, ability to be able to sit in council and have conversations and tell our stories, do healing work in many different ways on many different levels. And so I think it was just such a powerful experience to find this philosophy, and that it allowed me to bring everything that I really enjoyed from my journeying with me, that it didn't require me to say, no, I have to let go of all that. That doesn't fit in this, like things didn't fit in Catholicism. There's right and wrong, and it's like, very decisive that way. And I think that's the difference between the spiritual path and the religious path, is the religious path is really there to be followed. For people who want to follow, who want the set of rules, who want the understanding, this is the way it is. And then there's us on the spiritual path who are like, yeah, I'm kind of seeking, like, it's up to me. There is personal responsibility on the spiritual path for us to say, oh yeah, what is mine to do, and to really question and to ask those other deeper questions. Who am I? What am I here for? What's my soul calling me to do? What am I good at? Where does my genius lie? How do I bring that into the world and share that with the world? And so I think that's the beautiful thing that really resonates for me, and I think a lot of people on our journey, is that we're on that spiritual path, and it can be eclectic. We can bring the things. And also we know that it's our journey. It's our personal, connection to the divine. It's not, we don't have to go through a medium. We don't have to go through a priest. It's a live 24/7, experience of saying, hey, what am I called to do? What am I to do? What am I to do today? Like the meditation. What am I here to do today? How can I serve today? So that's kind of been my journey, at least on the kind of on the more spiritual end of it. And I've loved it. I mean, I still love it. I still love finding out about different paths or different rituals or different practices, different skill sets, different tools. And so, yeah, I'm just one of those people that is a constant, wants to constantly grow and expand and looking and searching.
Beautiful. So the name of this show is Growing Edge Live, and my idea of the growing edge is sort of the evolutionary growing edge of who we're becoming, or what as humanity we're becoming. And so I ask you those questions that you asked. Who are you? What are you? How are you here to serve?
Yeah. Well, I think it was it was an interesting process for me, going from becoming a practitioner, which I have been for many, many years, and then deciding to move into becoming a minister. I think there was a part of me that was always drawn to it, for sure. But there was also a part of me that was in a little bit of denial and knew that was a lot of responsibility, and sort of put it off a little bit. There's also the fact that I am neurodiverse. So I'm dyslexic, maybe a little ADHD as well mixed in. But for me, school was very difficult. I barely made it through. And fortunately, I was blessed here in Jefferson County. We had a trade school. So I went to Warren Tech Center for construction technology. And my junior and senior year in high school, we went actually out to a job site and built a house every single year. And so, that kind of hands-on experiential training was perfect for me. And I wound up starting my own business and loved being a contractor and helping people transform their houses for, my first career. And that was such a blessing. So I really, for those of you who are thinking about trade school, it was wonderful for me and provided a great living and a lot of joy, and that was my school. High school, I did not do very well. And that was just the part of being dyslexic and not knowing. Unfortunately, I didn't find out until I was 30 years old that I was dyslexic, that I had this thing. And then it's like, oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
So I want to just ask you, I'm dyslexic also. I've never been diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure. Can you tell us how how that was for you at 30, finding out? Because there's probably people my age, I'm 62, that it wasn't a thing. Maybe it was a thing, but nobody ever talked about it. And so there's probably a good portion of society that struggles with some form, level, or whatever the terminology is, of dyslexia, but maybe undiagnosed, or it might be helpful for them to understand, oh, well, that now it makes sense. So what are some of the things you discovered in that?
It was interesting because it didn't make a difference when I was 30. I had already grown a successful business. I did the things that I was good at. I hired accountants and people like that to do the things I wasn't good at. And it honestly didn't mean hardly anything to me. Oh, okay, I'm dyslexic. I didn't really even know what it was. But then, as we were talking about before, I decided to go back to ministerial school. And that whole process of school just brought forth the core wound and the core healing that needed to happen for me around that, because so much of that schooling process was me learning how I learned. And unfortunately, there really wasn't a lot of support. I needed to ask over and over again. Every class, I had to go into it and created a bunch of things, a whole packet for people who were neurodiverse or had challenges with school, so that I could support my fellow classmates. And one of those was simply a letter to the professor. Hey, professor, here's what I've got. I'm dyslexic. Do you have an audiobook? Do you have, and simply asking for extra time and extra support. And a lot of them were really great. Not all of them, but a lot of them were really great in being able to help me. But the thing is and especially people our age, we have to advocate for ourselves. I think that was the hardest part. Everybody was like, okay, just let us know what you need. Like, I actually didn't know what I needed. I didn't know how to be successful in school. I literally made it through on my intuition, my ability to read the room and the energetics, and all of those skill sets that dyslexic or school people who have challenges with school tend to develop a higher sensitivity. It's like being blind. Well, your hearing and your touch and all of those other skill sets then show up. So in a way, it set me up perfectly to do exactly what I do, which is work in groups with people, and with men especially. It was the healing process that I needed over 5 years to come to a place of acceptance and love with myself. There were tears, there was anger, the whole 9 yards. Almost every class that stuff came up, and even some of my suicidal, feelings from when I was a teenager, that it affected me so much and affected my sense of self so much that I was suicidal when I was a teenager, and finally sort of let that go after I got out of school and started to build my own sense of self-esteem, and certainly creating my own company and running my own companies was a huge part of that. But it just brought all of that stuff up to be healed, Allie. So, I think especially for, people in the 80s or before, probably even in the 90s too, there wasn't the diagnosis. It wasn't clear. If you could kind of fake your way through it, they sort of just kept passing you. Okay, we'll give you a C, or we'll give you a D-. You could still pass. But that was the process for me of ultimately healing my neurodiversity and being able to accept myself for the creative individual that I am and the unique perspective that I have. And when I actually did a training on this in ministerial school about neurodiversity and dyslexia and learning challenges, it was interesting because so many people, dyslexic people, are innovators. They are small business owners. They are like, double the amount of what is normal millionaires. So it's like 30% or something like that, or millionaire. It's just all of this ability to get out of the standard mindset that we really get programmed with in school. I never really got all that. And so, I think our ability as neurodiverse people to be able to look at life in a different way, have different solutions, have different possibilities, and to be able to bring those in a way that can be supportive, powerful, uplifting, and so finding my way, finding out how I learn. And so the statistics are 1 in 5 individuals is neurodiverse. So I always tell this joke: 1 in 5 people is neurodiverse. That's 25%. So, a little dyslexic joke there, because we never get the numbers right.
Exactly.
But the truth is like, it has been such a blessing. Once I found the blessing, it has been such a blessing for me. Instead of this thing of, I am cursed, I have been labeled as, all of this stuff. Oh, I'm not good at this. You're not good at that. It's all the negatives. And so once I could let go of those negatives and say, okay, what do I bring to the table? Mm-hmm. What are the things that I bring? And it's been such a powerful journey for me. And I wish that for everyone to truly do, to find the healing in it, find the blessing in it, find the creativity in your neurodiversity, because the world needs it. The world needs people who are unique thinkers right now to solve the very big problems that our society and that our world are going through right now. And so, to bring in all of those people who do have unique perspectives and do have unique solutions and creative solutions to these problems that we're facing right now, globally, I think is imperative.
I really want to touch on this when we get back. We're going to jump off for a very short break, and we will be right back with Eamon. I think.
Maybe.
You know, I've been thinking, this volunteer dinner deserves a standout video, something with real impact. But hiring a big production team for just one video? The cost would be huge.
I get it. But have you thought about New Thought Media Network? They do amazing work beyond just broadcast programming on YouTube. They actually specialize in high-quality, one-off productions for events like ours. And I heard they're super affordable.
Really? I didn't realize they did that. So they focus on quality without the premium price tag.
Exactly. Plus, Dr. Robert runs the whole thing, and he's all about making great media accessible. We could get the professional look we need without going overboard on costs.
His sounds perfect. Let's get in touch with Dr. Robert and see if they can work their magic for us.
Well, hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert here from New Thought Media Network. We'd love to work with you on a custom video for your next event or project. From impactful storytelling to creating a unique avatar for your community or brand, we're here to bring your vision to life, affordably and professionally. Reach out and let's explore what we can create together.
Oh, we're back. Here we go.
Here we are.
So, as you're talking about dyslexia and neurodiversity, I'm getting a sense of what a powerful leader and facilitator and practitioner you must be. I know for me, I've noticed, being undiagnosed as dyslexic, I've focused in on more of my skills. How do I, what is it that's different about me? Because I understand that it can be challenging to read. I can transpose numbers and letters. And so I'm aware of some of the challenges, but some of my gifts are being able to see the big picture. I'm able to see maybe from a higher perspective or a broader perspective of what needs to be done or what's missing or what, and I'm able to somehow take that in when I'm sitting with a person or I'm teaching a class, and I'm able to sort of bring some, whether it's in the form of a question or a quote, or I'll bring something in to kind of expand that vision or expand what's happening, the experience that we're having, or the healing that we're discussing, or a vision for someone's future. And so I find, that it's been a win, or it's been a gift, a blessing to me. So I'd love to hear a little bit about the work you do with men and how this maybe neurodiversity has given you insight into working in the fields that you work in.
Yeah, I would say that's a part of, like I mentioned before, tapping into those maybe other kinds of skill sets like intuition, reading the room, being more tapped in energetically, intuitionally, on a deeper level, on more of an archetypal level, or the big picture level. For me, I really see the big picture. I can see, the development of our New Thought community 20 years out. And so the hard part for me is being present in the moment and doing the day-to-day steps to get there. And fortunately, through my construction, experiences and my construction companies, I trained myself to do that. You just show up and you put the next board on, you frame the wall, you hang the drywall, you do the next thing. And so I think it's been a real joy about using all the skill sets that I have in this ministry and then some. We definitely, and when I think, and especially this, when to reach out and get support when I'm kind of stuck, or, that's one of, as I'm learning more about ADHD, the propensity to procrastinate and to kind of feel stuck. and there are certain ways in which we can get support in moving through that stuff. And I think YouTube has been a great ally in being able to find those really high quality creators that are talking about these different things. And that's where I've gotten a lot of support. But, one of them was, we just saw the commercial for New Thought Media Network, and Robert helped us realize a dream was our summit. We did our summit in September, and we had 23 speakers, and it was just incredible. And we shared this with our community, and created a 20-minute talk and a podcast and a treatment and a meditation and all these great things that we now have for our membership site. And for me, I think that was one of the things about how do I think outside of the box, and this idea of coming up with this membership site to be able to create plug and play men's groups. Because what we would see in our New Thought communities is someone would get excited about it, and then they would get busy, and then they would not do it anymore. And then another guy would come along, and he would get excited about it, and it would grow, and then they would get distracted, or other things had came up as a priority or whatever. So there was a lot of this up and down in having a consistent men's group. And with this, it kind of evens that playing field. It just allows for a consistency to basically go into the database, look up something like, forgiveness. And Mark Anthony Lord did a great sharing on forgiveness. And so you just get in your men's group, you hit play, you check in, you have the treatment started off, you check in for a half an hour or so, then you play the 20-minute video, and you have a nice discussion on that, and process with that. And then you treat at the end, and that's as simple as it gets. You got your men's groups right there. And so we wanted to create this experience, because how I see it, and this is part of that bigger picture, is if every New Thought community had a men's group, then as we continue to grow and grow outside of our New Thought community and invite other men in, then there are places where they can actually go and have a live men's group. And I think the importance of that is, for me, I was in a men's group for 25 years with the same guys. And it was such a powerful experience for me of just so many possibilities and so many things. Or I don't think there was, I think we talked about everything in that group, like in that 25 years of being together. And it was so powerful. And there were guys in there who wrote books, and there were guys in there who created CDs of music, and guys in there who wrote poetry and, created their own businesses. And I mean, it was just, for me, it was such a glass ceiling breaking experience. And since then, I've written my own book. I've recorded some music of my own. And before that, I don't think I would have done that stuff. It just wasn't in my psychology. It just wasn't in my realm of possibility. Like, I can barely get through reading a book, much less write one. Are you crazy? And so one of my good friends, James, who was actually in that group, helped me write my first book called The Blessing Circle, which is just about men's work and men's groups and why do we do it, and kind of all the things that we're talking about today. And so I think what we're trying to do is to get men together in circles and to share their stories, to be vulnerable, to build trust, to learn listening skills. I think that's a huge one as far as our relationship goes. If we could just learn better listening skills, our relationships would be so much better and so much easier. Not to mention all the other, things that we go through, like even conflict. I think I tended to avoid conflict, and it wasn't until I was in my men's group And sometimes things got pretty heated. We actually have a saying that says, when things get heated, you got to stay seated. Um, and the reason being is, I think us as human beings, right, we're fight or flight. So guys would stand up or trying to bully, or they would stand up and go for the door. And so to be able to have that trust in the community and the group, and to say, you know what, I know I'm challenged here. I'm upset, or I'm triggered, or I'm really struggling in this moment, or I have an issue with you, and then to help get the support and help of the whole group to be able to work through a process that we don't normally get to work through in real life. I think most of us go through the patterns that we learned when we were growing up. So whatever that was, for me, it was bail, run for the door. I'm out of here. And so it really taught me that when you actually, even though you're triggered, you take a few breaths and allow support and someone to facilitate a conversation either with myself or with the other person that I'm having an issue with.
Wow.
And so just so much stuff like that. So much.
I can see how having that men's group for so many years in a row, and having the support, the mastermind, the learning skills, like listening, and whatever else you learn from that experience, and how that must have impacted you and supported you in being so creative. Yeah. So it's so wonderful to hear from a man that has done so much soul work, so much depth. And so it occurs to me, because we're in an environment at the moment where we just had an election where the men didn't bail. The men actually lent in and spoke up by casting a vote. And I'm confused, because I'm not too confused. Like I said, I'm pretty good at seeing the big picture, but I'd like to just kind of dig in a bit. You've worked with men for decades now. You've probably seen men come into your groups or stand at the edge of the group, kind of not really wanting to engage, and then they do, and they learn and grow and heal, probably. So you've probably seen healed men, unhealed men. What is this we're dealing with in our current environment with men voting the way they did? Because it feels, from a feminine perspective, that these men aren't caring about women's issues, women's bodies, women's rights, and along with women, all marginalized groups. And so can you shed any light on what me as a female, or many of us, are missing? Like, what these men have spoken up, and I'm attempting to take it in and understand.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Allie. Great question. Because it's pertinent right now, especially. There is a lot of challenge and confusion around, I think, a lot of it. And I can't speak for men in general, so I can speak for myself, and which is unaligned to the New Thought philosophy, which stands for oneness, which stands for wholeness, which for us as ministers, it's a little bit of a different experience, because we see to the deeper nature of us. Oh, I see the soul there. I see the soul there. I see the soul there. We're all on an equal footing, as far as we're all just souls here in embodying these diverse bodies, and all trying to, 8 billion of us trying to come together and get along and have some kind of census. Hopefully we can make it through this technological era that we're moving into, and this era that's kind of scary. And I think we just went through that. A lot of people in our community, the LGBTQ community, is it's scary to be, a part of that community right now, given all the rhetoric that has shown up through this, election season, and to women and women's rights and autonomy. And so I think it's harder for me because I'm already on that level. I'm already on the same page. And I think this gives us the ability to speak to where people are at. And if we look at a couple different models, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a good one to start with. The physiological needs, the safety and security needs, and then, connection and belonging, self-esteem, and then self-actualization as we go up that pyramid. Not saying that all of us don't have physiological needs. We all have those physiological needs, but some people are traumatized and stuck in those safety and security or physiological needs. I mean, there's a reason why we have over 300 million guns in a country where we have more guns than we have people. So there is something going on around safety and survival for people. I think for me, wanting to operate in more of those higher levels of the self-actualization, the self-esteem, building community and connection, or we could even go into the spiral dynamics of it, which is a different model, but very similar in a lot of ways. People are at the consciousness at which they're at. And due to, I think, religion, due to experience of where we're at, I think this goes even into a lot of, where is equality, how economic equality, race equality, gender equality, sexual orientation equality, all of these things that we kind of, as a New Thought community, that are just a part of who we are. I think it's different for people who are in different levels of development. And I know that sounds like a judgment, and maybe it is, but it's just kind of a realistic perspective of, I view it anyhow, as a realistic perspective of where people are at based on their trauma, based on their defensive structure, based on how safe and how secure they feel, as to what they need to do, to the feeling of, I need to control me and mine and my little circle here, and round up my little and keep them safe. There is some ideal of the caretaker in that. And I think in its ideal form, the patriarchy provides support and provides safety and provides protection. And when it gets dysfunctional, then it goes into control and manipulation and, all of those other stuffs that aren't supportive. And I think that we as a society are really struggling to evolve, to make that next step up into evolution, which for us in the New Thought men's community is, we are, bringing that love, bringing that presence, bringing that compassion, all of that into who we are, and trying to show up in integrity with that as best as we can. Really see what is the masculinity of the 21st century, as opposed to what is the masculinity of the last maybe 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years. Those bully type of models, which is like, me strong, me protect tribe, me have bigger stick than you, bonk you on the head with it. It is that safety and survival. And it's what has helped us survive as a society. But as we have grown into this modern society, of a society of laws, and this higher understanding through the mind, not the brute force, although we still have plenty of that, clearly. That we're looking to evolve, we're looking to move into this next level. And that's why I do men's work, is because I don't think, and this was on some level proof for me anyhow, that we don't get to evolve as a society unless we're all on it. You know, unless we're all involved, unless we're all of us are getting our needs met. You know, it goes back to our fundamental vision of a sustainable world that works for everyone. How does this work for everyone? And I know, you know, there are lots of reasons. You know, young people aren't making a living wage these days. This is just plain and simple true. You know, so yeah, you know, they're like, I'm sick of what's been going on the last 4 years and high prices and all of this stuff. And it doesn't matter what the stock market has done. It doesn't matter what the interest rate is. You know, I am having trouble just getting by. And so I can understand the frustration from that level, and the challenges that different people are going through. And then, and this is the hard part, that's that desire for something better, desire for something different. We have our own philosophy. We're like, oh, we take responsibility and we own, you know, so that we can then build something. But what some people are doing, and this is nothing new historically to us, is turning on the hate and turning on the fear. And when people act out of that reptilian brain back there, out of the safety and survival, they're easy to manipulate. They're easy to say, these are the people that are causing your problems. You know, it's this person, or it's this group of people. These are the people to blame. And, you know, it scares me and makes me sad that a lot of young men, because they don't feel they have a voice or they don't feel they have a future, are getting dragged into, you know, this kind of hate philosophy, instead of what we ascribe to, which is the love philosophy of, yeah, how do we take ownership? How do we make it better? How do we inspire? How do we use our creativity to manifest this greater good? And so I think that's the sad part for me, is seeing these young men being indoctrinated into this hate and into this duality, instead of this place of connection and, hey, we're in it together, and when we all win, we all win.
Yeah. So when people could be hearing you speaking and being really excited about what's possible, especially if they have men in their lives that maybe don't see things their way, or maybe there's some men listening thinking, wow, I want what he's drinking, or what have you. How can people...
There is no Kool-Aid that we drink. just to be clear, we're not a cult.
Okay, that was a bad analogy. Sorry. So what would you say to someone that might be interested in what you're sharing, and how can they connect with you, maybe work within this New Thought Men's community?
Yeah, well, that's it. newthoughtmens.community is our address. You can find us on the web. You could become an individual member of our community. You can have access to all the stuff that we do. We just did a leadership conference. We did our summit before that. Coming up, we actually have an event that's open to everyone.
Is this all online or in person?
Yeah, it's all online. It's called Renew, and it's just after the first year. We get together and we do some poster boards, some vision posters, and talk about vision and stuff like that. That's open to everyone. Just as is the summit is open to men and women, because we want women to understand what we're doing and to be able to see what we're doing and what we're putting out there. the other aspect of that is, including myself, that's how a lot of men, over half, find men's work, is through the women that they know, through the women who love them and care about them. Allie, 100 guys commit suicide every single day, and 20 times that attempt suicide every single day. And there's a lot more to the crisis that masculinity is going through right now. And it's a time of change. Some people don't want that change to happen. They want to keep it the same because it's comfortable. But if we're as a society and as a people able to move into this next time frame where technology has outpaced everything, technology has outpaced spirituality, and I think there is a reckoning for us as spiritual people to really up level our game so that we can at least bring some of that into all of this technological marvels that we have, these things in our pockets that have everything that we could ever want on them, access to everything. But we really need to balance that and find a balance, I think, and that goes with our environment, that goes with us as people and getting along, all of these things that if we don't work on, certain things, then we're just running into problems. We aren't communicating as well with each other. There isn't a coming together. There feels like there's a more separation than ever. And so I think this, having this community, we have men's groups online, we have all of these amazing videos and podcasts from our summit, and that'll be an annual event, so we'll keep adding to those, and to be able to just up level that consciousness of what does healthy, generative, kind, nurturing, loving masculinity look like, and I think it goes unsaid a lot because there's a lot of amazing men that I work with all the time. And so my perspective is probably skewed just because I work with a ton of New Thought men, and they're incredible and amazing men. And so I'm probably a little bit out of touch to a certain extent. But I feel like there's nothing that I would rather be doing than doing this. And I feel especially in this, given what happened with this election, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen, more, I think, than we even thought. And so this is the opportunity for us to do the inner work and grow as we do in New Thought. It's all about transforming the inside where we have control over ourselves and over our consciousness, over our beliefs, over our experience and our feelings, to do that inner work. To be able to have that evolution spiral upward, to have that, masculinity of the 21st century starting to manifest more and more, because men are interested in being a part of that. And quite frankly, I see that as us being able to doing this work, being able to overcome the obstacles that are huge challenges for us in our society right now.
Well,
and so
we are right at the top of the hour. We have to get going.
We could talk so much longer on this stuff today, Allie. But
thank you so much for being a guest on Going Edge Live. I usually end with the question, what does the world need now? But you've already shared it. And for all of you out there that would like to get more involved in your own spiritual growth and in men's work, Eamon's got an amazing opportunity with the work he's doing at New Thought Men's Community. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Allie.
Blessings to you on your journey. And thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm here if you want to outreach or need support in your lives. Please don't hesitate to connect with me at thesatyacenter@gmail.com. And I will see you next week as I'll be having another Enneagram chat with Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano. So peace and blessings to you. Lots of love. Thank you, New Thought Media Network. Mwah. Bye, everyone.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing